let's start talking about the book of Samuel. The book starts with a poor woman named Hannah. She was pretty upset because she never had a child, and by God's grace, she finally had a child named Samuel, who became the prophet that leads Israelites. At the same time, the Philistines rise up and became Israelites' biggest enemy. And in one battle, the Israelites became so arrogant, instead of praying God for help, they worshipped the Ark of Covenant as some sort of magic trophy that would help them win battles. So God allowed the Ark of Covenant to be stolen by the Philistines, and then God sent plagues on the Philistines to defeat them. And of course, they sent the Ark of Covenant back to Israel. Israelites begged God that they need a new king so they can be just like other nations. And Samuel told God about this, and God warned them that they would regret the results. But God gave them a king anyway. So we're introduced to our new character, Saul. Saul, he seems to be a perfect candidate for a king. He's tall, good looking, but just like all other human kings, he's not perfect. He has some character flaws. He is dishonest and lacks of integrity. We can all expect. Saul starts to mess up. He starts to turn away from God and disobey him. So the blue one represents what God wants to say, and the green one represents what Samuel wants to say. Apparently those are two different things. And then God was pretty upset about this. So he sent our good friend Samuel to find a new king for the Israelites. Forgot for now. So we're introduced to a new man named Jesse. And Jesse showed Samuel his sons, tall, big, strong man. But God has other plans for the Israelites. So we're introduced to our new character, David. Now David is just a young shepherd who has a dirty job of looking after sheep. But apparently God chooses David for a reason. So Saul listened to God and anointed David. God's special way of choosing his own people. God anointed David, the good spirit that helped Saul rule Israel left him, and a new spirit came in and bothers him every day. Just imagine a bee flying around your head all day long. This must be pretty annoying though. One day, David brings some food for his brothers who works as soldiers in the army. It starts out as a lunch delivery, but soon became the most famous story in the Bible, where our little David used a single stone, took down an entire tribe. It shows us how powerful God is. And after the Israelites heard about all of this, David soon became a famous rock star in the nation of Israel. And Saul was pretty upset about all this because he thinks the people may think that David is a better king than him. So as a result, David was sent to many dangerous battles in which a normal person would have died. But David was God's chosen person, so he never died. And the situation got so intense that Saul even threw a spear at his head one time. And finally, David had enough of this, and he decided to escape and wander in the wilderness for years and years and years. In the meantime, without God's blessing, King Saul's army was losing to the Philistines, and all of them got captured. And King Saul was so afraid of capture that he decided to fall under his own sword rather than being captured by the Philistines. After David heard all about this, he returned to Israel, defeated Philistines, and became Israel's next king. The second book of Samuel picks up when both Saul and Jonathan died, and David became Israel's next king and reunited every tribe. He then captured Jerusalem to become Israel's next capital and renaming Zion. David made a fatal mistake. So one day, David saw the wife of one of his soldiers, Uriah, showering on the rooftop, and he fell in love with her and made her pregnant. Then David made a fatal mistake. He saw the wife of one of his soldiers, Uriah, showering on the rooftop, and he fell in love with her and made her pregnant. Our prophet Nathan confronted David, and David confessed all his sins to God. God decided to forgive him, but God is not going to erase all the deeds that David did. So as a result, 3 of David's offspring, Amnon, sexually abused Tamar, and Absalom found out about this and actually assassinated Amnon. And then Amnon launched a full-scale rebellion against David, and David had to escape to the wilderness to hide from him. The rebellion ends when David's son Absalom was was assassinated, and David was pretty upset about this, heartbroken. The book of Samuel concludes with David's failure and one more important message, that one day a person will come on our planet Earth and build an eternal kingdom for God. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye!